Hello, Vendure 1.8 is out now. This release is named after the city of Montpellier. Yeah, so this week we published a new blog post talking about our new versioning strategy and our roadmap. And in this blog post, we talk about how each minor release from now on is going to be named after a city with some special connection to Vendure. So this current release is Montpellier. It's named after the location of one of our biggest partners, Swile. They have a team which are very active in contributing to Vendure and in fact contributed several pull requests to this release. The release after that will be named after Kitzbühel, which is the location of our partner and shareholder Alpine 11. And version 2.0, the big one, is going to be named after the beautiful city of Vienna. So that's why you see this background, this lovely background here. This is a scene from Montpellier. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's talk about what's new in version 1.8. First of all, we have draft orders. Draft orders is a brand new feature. It's been requested for a long time and is one of our most upvoted feature requests on GitHub. And now it's landed. So what is a draft order? Well, a draft order basically allows an administrator to create an order manually on behalf of a customer. Now, why might you want to do this? Well, for example, it allows you to let a customer phone up and place an order or come in person to place an order. The administrator can then create the order using the exact same mechanisms that would be used on the storefront, including any custom calculators, any promotion logic, shipping methods, and payment, and so on. Another reason you might want to do this is to have a quote-based workflow where an administrator creates the order manually, produces a quote, and then that can be paid later by the customer. A third reason you might want to use this is to test complex promotions. So let's take a look at how this works. In the order list view, you'll now see a brand new button over here, Create Draft Order. So let's click on that, and that's immediately created an order. We can now populate it with some products. We can choose the quantity and then add it to the order. Okay, we can also use any coupon codes. We have one here, 10% offer. As soon as I've clicked that, you can see it's applied, all the calculations done for us. Once we're happy with the order, we can choose which customer this should belong to. We can use existing customers or create a new customer. In this case, let's choose one of the existing ones. Once we've chosen the customer, we can then choose an address, either any registered address or a new one. We'll choose the existing address here. Finally, we need to choose a shipping method. Let's choose standard shipping. Okay, now we've filled out all the details. We're ready to complete the draft. When we click this, the draft is converted into a regular order and it's ready for payment. The payment can then be processed manually or using a custom payment workflow that you might have for your particular requirements. Draft orders can now be seen on the orders list page using this tab right here. You'll see any drafts that are in progress. Drafts can be partially set up, they'll be saved, and then you can come back to them later to complete them. Any draft orders that a customer has associated with his or her account will not show up in the storefront. Only once you've converted them into a regular order will the customer then be able to see them in their customer order history. All right, so the next thing I want to show you is some big improvements we've made to the built-in rich text editor. Now this is used in description fields, such as the product description. And the first thing you can see here is that we have a HTML table. Okay. Not so fancy, but actually that's new. We didn't support this before, so it was impossible to use tables in your descriptions. This is something that was badly needed, and now I'm glad to say it's in here in version 1.8. So let's take a look at how this works. When we click on the table, you'll see we get a context menu. When we click on that context menu, we have a bunch of different options of things that we can do with the table, adding columns, removing columns, deleting rows, deleting the table, and so on. Another nice thing is that this support now includes copy-paste support. So we can go over to a table like this. I can copy a bunch of cells, copy, and then jump back over here. And then when I paste, it's formatted very nicely as a simple HTML table. And now let's say we want to take this column and make it a header. There we go. The next thing you'll notice is in the context menu at the bottom, we can edit the HTML. If we need to make any tweaks to the table, to the markup, add some classes and so on, we can do that right here. This HTML editing is not just confined to tables. We can also apply that to just a paragraph as well. So the paragraph context menu only has the option to edit a HTML currently. So if we wanted to add a strong tag, update it, and we see that that's taken place there, although it would be simpler to use the button in this case. Now, another new thing we support in the rich text editor is iframe embeds. So let's say, for example, we have a YouTube video that might go along well with our product. I can click the share button, choose embed, copy that, and then in a new paragraph, I can edit that HTML and simply paste that iframe markup. And then we get the embed. Likewise with images, we now have a context menu specifically for images where we can edit the source and the title and so on. So that's a whole lot more functionality with the rich text editor. Now let's go back to the product list and take a look at something that maybe you've noticed. There are checkboxes to the left of these items. And that's right, this means that we now support multi-select. I can click multiple of these. I can even shift click and select a whole range, and I can exclude some with the control click or command click. Once I've selected multiple, I have a new menu, which is the bulk action menu. In this case, I can delete the selected, I can assign them to channels, or in this case, I can edit facet values. So let's say I wanted to take all of these and I wanted to add a facet value to each one. So I can add, this makes no sense, but I'll add it to the category plants. And that's been now applied to all the products. We can go and check, is the tablet a plant? Yes, it is. As I said, makes no sense, but you can do it. In the same way, we can go through, look at the facet values and quickly remove any facet values that don't make sense. This is way more efficient when you're doing lots of management of your inventory and your taxonomy and so on. It makes things way easier. This has already been used in production in our project, and the editors are very, very happy with this. Likewise, on the facets view, we can multi-select and we can delete or assign to channels, and same with collections. And now this is another feature, which is the fact that we can now actually assign facets and collections to channels. This did exist as a feature in the data model, but we never exposed it in the API before, and we never exposed it in admin UI. So thanks to community contributions, this is now in place, and I'll show you how this works. So right now I have two channels, the default channel and a US channel. If I switch over to the US channel, we have no facets assigned. Let's go back and let's take 3 facets and assign them to the US channel. And now if we switch over, we'll see those are assigned. And if we want to undo that for any of them, we can also remove them. Same applies with collections. Let's switch back over to our default channel where we have the collections, and we'll assign just the sports and outdoors to the US channel. And switching over, we'll see it's right there. Now the really cool thing with bulk actions is that although we ship with a few commonly used and useful bulk actions out of the box, you can also define your own bulk actions. This is done with the UI dev kit method of extending the admin UI. There's a new API which allows you to define what action should apply to what list and what should happen when you click that action. This can range from anything to sending a bunch of products to a third-party localization API, or exporting products to a particular format for listing on some other marketplace or something like this. Really, the possibilities are endless. You can choose the items you want to process and then run any code you want and send them anywhere you want. So it's a really, really flexible API, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing what you build with this. It can be the basis of new plugins in the ecosystem, and I think people are going to build some really cool things on top of this bulk actions API. The last thing I want to cover in this video is an improvement to the promotions API. There's a new feature which allows us to run side effects from a promotion. When a promotion becomes active, well, we know that we have promotion actions. These can discount a order item or the order as a whole or the shipping. That's all they can do. They can just say how much should we discount it by. Very simple. So the use case arose that we actually sometimes need to run side effects that aren't just to do with changing the price. The prime example of this is free gifts. So let's say we have a promotion we want to offer. When this promotion becomes active, that a special free gift goes into the cart automatically. This is a really common kind of promotion, but we've not had good support. People have come up with various ways to kind of hack around it, overriding the add item to order mutation and performing some work before and after and so on. But there's lots of edge cases that come up with that, and it's kind of messy. So I tried to think of what would be a nice API that would support this and other kinds of side effect use cases. And what we have at the moment is a new onActivate and onDeactivate function that can run when a promotion becomes active and when it becomes inactive. And in these functions, you perform the side effects. So let's look at an example. In the blog post, you'll see there's a little section about this, and then there's a link to a new documentation page or section talking about this free gift promotion idea. And there's a full listing here, which you should be able to kind of copy and paste into your project if you want to try this out. But if we just look at the onActivate function, you'll see the key thing is we are calling the order service add item to order method. And this is the side effect. We're adding an item to the order. And then the important thing is that when the promotion gets deactivated, we have to remove the item from the order. So those are the constraints. If you do something in the onActivate, you have to undo it in the deactivate. This is what we mean by side effects. It should be noted that this API is labeled as experimental right now. So the reason why we've done this is that we want to get the feature out there sooner rather than later. We want people to test it out, but there is the caveat that maybe if it's found that the API is not quite right, we might need to make some change in the future, which might be breaking. So there should be a degree of caution when using this API, but it's not like we plan to throw it away. As long as there's no major problems, it's gonna stabilize and it will no longer be experimental. So try it out, see what kind of new promotion possibilities you can come up with. If you find any problems, then please raise an issue and then we can revise the API if needed. Otherwise, we'll just remove the experimental in a version or two and then we can just use it. Okay, so that's what I wanted to cover. There are a bunch of other changes. You can see in the blog post, we list out some performance improvements, other API, quality of life improvements, and so on. And then the changelog's got absolutely everything. There's also a bunch of fixes, of course. And finally, I'd like to thank personally all the contributors. We've had a lot of contributions from the community in this release. So thank you very much, Alexander, Alexis, Artem, Connor, Gustavo, Harrison, Hendrik, Carol, Martin, and William. Vendure would not be what it is without the support of the community. So thank you very much. So that's all. That's it. Don't watch this any longer. Go and update your project. Enjoy the new features, and we will push forward towards version 1.9. See you later.